So I can tell you how I got one of my most recent clients. I think it's a good example of how these things come about. So we connected probably 7 months ago, and he only became a client this month. We connected 7 months ago, and I really liked his content. He had really fun, clever content that always kind of elicited a smile, and I liked it, and so on. And we started talking. And then at some point I saw that he posted about a competitor of mine saying how incredibly smart he was, and that he's looking forward to be working with him. And so I thought, damn it, okay, so he's not going to work with me. He already found my competitor, right? Exactly. Yeah. So I was like, that's a pity. But because I like the guy, and so I just continued the conversation. And at some point, because he liked my content so much, he started, and you will, over time, as you develop your own voice, you will develop fans. I actually have a few. It seems a little bit presumptuous to call it that, but I have a few people who almost reliably, whenever I put something out, they engage with it, they like it. And it's not that I'm not part of a pod. I don't know if your audience knows what that is. A pod is a really bad habit that people have on LinkedIn, is to form a group, 20, 30 people, who then, whenever you put something out, they like it and comment on it. And it's always the same people, and it's just artificially tries to boost you. I personally don't like it for many reasons. We're not going to get into that, but it almost feels like, yeah, and it's just fluff. So whenever you see someone who posts content, it's not particularly interesting, but they have like 80 comments on it, and people say things like, oh, great post, so much value, and so on, you can be 100% sure that they are in a pod, and it's just like zombie interactions. Terrible.
It's like validation echo chamber, and just very artificially
boosted interaction. It's just not fun. Anyway, and it feels like almost as if I had my own organically grown pod, right? With people who just engage in my content. Anyway, and he was one of them. He reliably started to like my stuff. And over time he said, dude, we probably have to talk. And so sure, anytime. And that was probably, I think, in November. So in December, we finally talked. And at the time, he told me that he actually wasn't working with that competitor of mine. He just had a sales call. The competitor was, for whichever reason, he chose not to work with him. And he was essentially still on the market, right? And so I agreed for a longer sales call with him. That was then in January. And since then, he's become a client. And he's very happy so far. So you see how long term you just start a conversation. He was one of the people I added in a one-on-one way, started a conversation. It didn't go anywhere, but we remained kind of friendly, and how something like this can develop into a very good relationship. And even now at this point, this is kind of like the funny ending to it. We, over another LinkedIn thread, comment thread, he mentioned that he's a musician. Used to be a musician, and he recorded an album which is actually really good. For somebody not be doing that professionally, I really liked it. What's happening now? I'm launching my podcast on Wednesday, and I thought, hey, I need some music for this. I'm going to use one of his songs. And so now we're kind of from nothing. He's in South Africa, by the way, right? So it's like I never would have found this guy if it hadn't been for a personable, non-salesy, yet still goal-oriented approach to my networking, if you want to call it that. So I think that's a great example of how you can actually take these recipes in abstract. You start a conversation. First of all, you have good positioning and a good profile. He complimented me also on my profile. It's very clear. Exactly, I know what you offer. I know who is it not for. I know it's for me. And so by this combination of having good positioning and good profile, starting friendly, non-salesy conversations, while also exploring if there could be a need. At the time, there was not a need. Then I just kept nurturing that relationship with quality, original content. He also told me, dude, I can tell that your videos have been a step up in quality recently. So that's great, right? I can tell that he appreciates that. Boom, we get on a call. A month later, he's a client. Right? So I think that's a good example of how you can actually concretely see this framework implemented.